Well, the reason for the car show with Moxie Media and Promotions is we are about promoting the sport of dirt track racing. This is a show that was dead for a few years, and we brought it back last year. And we want to get the drivers from all, the goal wasn't just Willamette Speedway. The goal is to get drivers from all over the state here to this location to promote our sport of dirt track racing, their sponsors, their cars, their racetracks. That's what we do at Moxie.
And we do have cars from all over the state.
We do. We've got cars that have driven 3.5, 4 hours to be here and participate in this deal, and it makes you feel good, like we're doing something right.
It does. I mean, we've got Mike Medell up from the Medford area. We've got Curtis Towns, who typically runs at Cottage Speedway down the South Valley. So it's really about building the sport, building back the sport. Because over the last couple of years out here in the Pacific Northwest, the sport's kind of fallen off. We really don't see the level of competition that we used to. We don't see the car counts as high. So by having this car show, it gets everybody together, gets the fans excited, gets people excited about the sport, bringing them out here to the track.
Bringing the racing community together here at this show.
And really, it is a preseason event for us.
It is.
There's a lot of people debuting their cars, debuting
Right.
their new chassis. They're getting excited about the sport. The drivers are getting together and seeing each other for the first time since the last weekend in September when we last raced.
Well, a couple of things you hit on right there was car count. Getting the cars back out of the track, getting the sponsors back on the cars, and fans in the stands. We've seen a big drop with fans in the stands at multiple racetracks up and down the I-5 corridor.
Yeah.
The Northwest, Pacific Northwest, used to be such a hotbed for talent that was recognized nationally, and we've kind of fallen off that scene, and a lot of that talent getting recognized is now down south of us in California. And we're trying to get these guys back in the national spotlight, and so far...
Got some up-and-comers.
Yeah, we've got some great
Certainly.
stars coming up, with Bryson James. I think it's the first name you got to say.
Top of the line, yeah.
Colin Weinbarger, another young gun in the modifieds. A young man debuting his modified here is somebody I'm curious to see what's going to happen because he is so talented in the open cage cards. Eric Schofield.
That's going to be fun to watch. He normally competes down at Red Bluff in California with the cage cards. He's done very well down there.
He's done very well at Salem Speedway.
He's done very well everywhere he's been.
Only driver to win
He's
King
just
of the
a kid.
West 3 times in a row. And he is a young kid. He's 15 years old, debuting IMCA modified in a very, very nice
Very nice piece of work.
Great race car.
It's going to be it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this next year, see what happens.
Well, and that's the thing, I think, with this car show. It's kind of like, as you want to call it, the unofficial kickoff to racing season here in the Northwest, because we got everybody meeting here and talking racing and getting everybody all excited about, our first practice is next week. So this is kind of the last
Weather permitting.
Weather permitting.
Scheduled practice.
We are in Oregon.
So we're going to, hopefully get out there on the racetrack, get these guys in their cars and debut them. And, it just kind of gets everybody together and gets the brotherhood and the fellowship and then the racing juices going.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of this thing, is get everybody pumped up about race season and get them to the racetrack.
Well, and
Because we're certainly all pumped up. We're
We
ready
are.
to go.
Yes,
we're ready
we
to
are.
go. racing.
we've been pumped up since November.
Yeah.
But really, for those of our loyal fans who listen to us on Spreaker Radio on our podcast, Northwest Dirt News, dirt track racing is really a family sport. And even if it's not your immediate family, we go to the track, and I came from a crew chief background. Corey comes from a crew chief background.
Warren, NASCAR.
And Warren comes from the pavement racing as a crew chief. We all interact together, and dirt track racing, whether you're a competitor or you're on the same crew, or if you're an announcer, your track staff, you are a big family. And getting everyone together, this is like a mini family reunion for the dirt track racing community.
It is. That's a good analogy.
It is. It really is. And what we do, everybody has their role.
Yeah.
From us being, the media and promotion side to announcing to, the fire safety team to the drivers and the fans. Everybody has their role. And if we don't do that, our sport doesn't survive.
All right.
And the bad part about our sport is the cost. It's an expensive sport. That's why we're trying to promote these drivers out here with their cars and their sponsors and get these guys, pointed in the right direction and bring those sponsors some results that they can see to keep them on the car to support these guys, get them on the track.
Right. And besides that, we have a lot of raffle prizes out here that sponsors have put up.
Yes.
And we're going to have a donation to Shriners Hospital for Children on April 10th, which is, 3 weeks? 2
Yep.
weeks? And drivers in their driving suits and us up there in our
Right.
entourage,
Well, that's something
we're
cool,
gonna,
too.
yeah, it's really cool. We're gonna do something for the kids. So that's all being done as the racing community, as Joel touched on and Corey touched on. It's we're just a big happy family, and the more we get involved, the better it is. And
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah,
a bond.
And that's our goal as Moxie Media Promotions is to tighten that bond, to keep the community tight, keep the sport in the forefront. You know, keep everybody excited about what's going on, breaking news, talking about results at this track, that track. You know, whether it be from the Bud Nationals in Bakersfield, California, to the Shipwreck Beat Nationals up in Elmo, Washington, and everything in between. We talk about it on Northwest Dirt News. We talk about it here at the mall. I mean, it's been just constant race talk, and I think we're having a lot of fun.
We are.
Oh yeah, I'm having a blast.
Yeah,
Yeah, no
It's
doubt.
been good to see people we haven't seen in a long time, and to hear about people that we haven't seen in a long time coming back to the track with cars.
And the car count and the crowd count is also on its way back up. I would say, you know, just
I would agree.
yeah. So that's our part. We're trying to help. That's our small part of this big
Right.
pie. You know, trying to bring everybody back and get everybody into it.
Well, because we saw a transition there for a while where car count just dropped. I mean, it was cut in half, and fans weren't coming to the track, and we're trying to figure out why. You know, why is it the cost? Is it I mean, what is keeping these guys away from the racetrack? So as Moxie Media, our goal is to get all that news out there, keep it in front of them, do promotions. I mean, we're cutting commercials for, you know, I mean, now we're at a phase with Moxie Media where we've got people coming to, hey, promote my business, here, cut me a commercial.
Right.
So we're doing, I mean, it's just, we're constantly at work. And now that we're going into the racing
Into the
season,
season.
we're having a hard time
It's gonna
keeping
hit
it
the
up.
fan now.
Yeah.
But that's what we
Yeah.
want, you know. We
Yeah,
love it.
absolutely.
We
And
like
really-
it wide open.
That's what we live for.
Yep.
We do this not for recognition. None of us want
No.
our names out there. All we're doing this for is for our sport. That we are dedicated race fans who are,
Labor of love.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we do.
That's
what
good.
It's all about.
That's
So
good.
we're hoping to be at multiple racetracks this year. Hopefully, you know, we'll be down in California for the Budweiser Nationals at Bakersfield for the
Right.
5th year in a row. They're having this
And
one.
the 32nd annual down there, I think.
Be the 32nd annual
32nd
Budweiser
annual,
Nationals.
yeah.
So it'll be our 5th time there with that group. Great show. Willamette Speedway obviously will be our home track, and we're going to try to bounce around to places if we can get there, weather permitting, and kind of what's going on. Hopefully we'll open our season at Sunset with the Bobby Morley Memorial Street Stock. Big deal with the Iron Giant Series.
Iron Giant Series.
That'll be a
is
fun
big
deal.
series.
Yeah.
And that's what's helping bring that car count back up as well. That's part of it. You know, Chris signing his motivation to get more cars. You know, he's done a great thing getting purses up there.
Yes.
Getting the car counts up, getting the crowds involved, literally involved. I mean, pulling
Yeah.
their wallets out and making our purses big.
Well, and that goes back to what he was saying about the family.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
last year at the Iron Giant Championship, we saw the fans actually donate over $2,000 to the winner's pot. The winner walked, it was a $3,000 to win advertised race, and he walked out of there with $5,400.
54 something, yeah.
2,400 of it came out of the stands. You
Yeah.
know,
So that's something unprecedented. You never
Never.
see that. I've never
Never.
seen that
No.
anywhere I've ever been in my life at any
No.
racetrack. So that was,
Excuse
go
me.
ahead, go ahead.
How huge was the winner winning the $5,000 or so dollars, and how big is Not Whole Market throwing in $5,000 for the points fund for this year for late models?
well, let me hit on that real quick.
Go for it, bud.
Not Whole Market and Dan Dybel, a guy that, again, like we mentioned, we do this as a labor of love for the sport. Dan Dybel's the same way. I'll use the words, saved late models at Willamette Speedway. And I say that because given the fact that Coos Bay Speedway put up $6,000 to win the track championship down there, and there was no points fund at Willamette Speedway, somebody, Dan Dybel, stepped up, put up $5,000 and...
To keep our cars here.
Right.
Yeah, otherwise they were headed to Coos Bay.
I mean, he single-handedly saved late model racing at Willamette Speedway.
And
Yeah.
you talk about the history of Willamette Speedway when it comes to late model class. Claire Arnold built that facility, and
Rest in
Claire,
peace.
hey, that
Yeah.
man, ooh, he did a lot for this sport, but late models were his passion. Lebanon and Willamette Speedway is known for open late model racing
Yes.
here on the West Coast. And with that being said, if we were to lose our car count and our late model class, the history and the nostalgia for late model racing and for Willamette Speedway in general, I would say,
Absolutely.
would be gone.
The fans would be gone.
The fans would be gone. I mean, you start talking about 1,000 horsepower, 2,300 pound cars hooking up on 15-inch wide tires on stuff you grow vegetables on.
I mean, well, and it's a 1/3 mile track, and the track record is 13.081. I mean, it's a true 1/3. And to get
Yeah.
around there in just over 13 seconds on a dirt oval, that's
That's
impressive.
all in the mail.
It absolutely is.
Then you move to the Iron Giant series with having a street stock race with, or excuse me, street stock series with
Yes.
8 races at 8
$1,000
different
to win.
tracks with $8,000 to win, or excuse me, $1,000 to win
Yep.
at each
At each
track.
race, yeah.
Normally that winning a street stock race only pays what, $100?
If
100
that.
bucks.
$100.
Yeah,
So
something like that.
you race 8 races, you win all 8 races. It's like racing 80 races.
Right.
Yeah.
And winning. Yeah.
And
all
winning.
of them. Yeah.
So
You
we
know, and
answer his
so-
question?
Well, no, because we go back to what he said about the winner taking home $5,000 to the Iron Giant race. Unheard of. It's never been done before here in the West. A $5,000 to win the street stock race.
Street stocks.
The late model, the biggest late model race in our area, pays $5,000 to win. And this actually, you know, the Iron Giant winner, Kyle Yak, walked out with more than that, with 5,400 and change. It's never been done before.
West Coast, throw out the whole West Coast.
As far as I know, that's the highest paying street stock race that I have personally heard of.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
definitely know in the Pacific Northwest. Now, I can't speak for California because they get some big stuff down there, but I can guarantee it's the biggest thing that's happened in the Northwest.
I can say, I would say it's safe to say that's the largest paying race in the history of racing for a lower division.
For a street
Wow.
stocks.
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely.
Yeah.
It's unheard of. It was an epic situation, and
Unprecedented.
yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
And I hope we see more of that because the street stocks, I think as a fan, the street stocks, everybody can relate. They don't show up at the racetrack and look at that car like a late model and say, well, what is that?
The
They look at
fans
that.
obviously love them.
Right.
They're throwing money into the kitty, you know. They
Yeah.
love their street stocks.
Well, and the
They're
thing-
always action packed.
The thing about that too is dollar for dollar. As a race fan sitting in the stands, I don't think you can ask for better racing entertainment than what the street stocks provide.
Very
I mean,
entertaining.
these guys are slicing and dicing, and there's 20 of them on the track. You know,
And even though we call it a lower division up here, it really
It's
is,
not anymore.
It's not anymore.
It really isn't.
But you have drivers and car owners in a vehicle that was on the road when people like you were a kid.
Right.
A '66 Nova,
Yep.
'70 Chevelle.
That was a long time ago.
You know, Monte Carlos, Regals.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. The fans identify with those cars. They can look at it and say, "Oh, look at that." You know, there's a, like you said, there's a '66 Chevelle, and that's cool. It's
Yeah.
nostalgic.
Yeah.
It makes them think about when they were a kid and they had those cars and they grew up watching them race. And you don't see that with the late models anymore. You see aluminum-sided race cars that are absolutely wicked and great to watch, but fans don't.
My favorite. My personal favorite.
Well,
Mine too.
Mine too. There's no doubt about it. I mean, but when you look at a car and identify it, I mean, when was the last time you looked at a late model?
a late model and said,
got
"Oh, that's
the
a
nostalgic
'66
feeling?
Chevelle."
Right,
Nah.
yeah.
It reminds me of, you know, and Corey, I know you're going to hate this analogy,
NASCAR.
NASCAR and the car of tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh,
Remember the
COT,
COT
yeah.
car?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
looked nothing like a street car in
Right.
North American Stock Car Racing Association. Well, where's the stock car in the COT?
Right.
Yeah.
Now they brought it back. They're starting to look more like.
What you see on the street.
Well, like
production
they
vehicles.
started out, they were supposed to always mimic the original.
Production.
but-
And
yeah.
then they got away from that, and now they're going
Yeah,
back
yeah,
towards it.
yeah.
It's,
But that's them.
So as far as the Iron Giant, was it big? Yes, it was the biggest thing that's ever happened to that division here, at least in the Pacific Northwest.
and we had people fans that heard about it flying in from Nevada.
Didn't we have somebody
Just for
there
that
from
race.
New Zealand? Did you talk to?
We did have
We
a fan there from New
Yeah,
Zealand.
fans from all over the place. But,
Yeah.
and the stands were absolutely packed.
Packed. You couldn't. There wasn't a seat
The
left.
pits were packed.
Yeah, yeah.
There was no
Well,
way.
on a
Well,
class
that's right,
that
we
normally
pitted all the way
has-
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where there wasn't even pits.
Well, the class that Willamette normally has, what, 22 cars? 22 to 24 cars,
Yeah.
street stocks. There was 54. 57 cars there that night.
And that's just kind of the street stocks. We had over 130 cars there that night in all of our divisions. That was a 5-class night.
And one more thing I want to touch on real quick is in the Iron Giant series, we have one race on asphalt
Right.
down at Roseburg Speedway at Douglas County Fairgrounds, which is going to be interesting. I talked to one person out here. I haven't talked to you guys about it yet, but he's got a special car
Uh-oh.
that's built for the asphalt.
Uh-oh.
It's probably the only Iron Giant race he's going to run. But he's
Go
going down there
figure.
to take the money.
But see, now that, and this is
You know?
one series that's what makes this series so interesting.
Yeah.
Is you're going to go from the bull ring, high bank bull ring of Cottage Grove, 1 week,
Curveballs everywhere.
to the 3/8 mile asphalt in Roseburg.
Yeah.
On the, it's an NASCAR track.
Yeah.
You know, they
It
run
makes
the
it
NASCAR
interesting.
West.
Give it-
It's going to test these drivers. It's going to test their cars, their knowledge, their skills. It's going to be fun to watch. And I,
Get away from the technical side. Look at what it's going to do for the fans. it's going to provide them with a show that they can't get anywhere else. So
Right.
if you,
The
as
show.
a fan, follow the Iron Giant series, starting at Sunset Speedway Park in Banks, Oregon on April 29th, all the way till September when we have the Iron Giant finale
At Willamette
at
Speedway.
Willamette Speedway,
One of these
you're going to see
previous-
some of the best street stock racing out there.
Probably in the Western United States, at least.
I'd even
Oh,
say
yeah.
the country.
Yeah, I'd
'Cause
argue
where
that.
else do you have a dirt street stock series that goes to an
Yeah.
asphalt track?
Yeah.
Say, hey, let's knock the
Cool
rust
deal.
off and
It's
go
like
see what
NASCAR
happens.
going to dirt.
Exactly.
They were smart, they'd stay on dirt. But in the 2017 season, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I know, especially today and just, the last couple days building up to the show we put on here at the mall, the excitement is in the air.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
more so than we've seen in probably the last 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
People are excited about getting to the racetrack again, and I don't know what it is, but it seems like this year is a lot more fan
a lot more
participation.
energy.
Yeah, there is. There
There
really
is.
is.
Well, even compared to last year. Last year, it was all this buzz about excitement. And yeah, everyone was excited.
And
And,
then
we
I-
thought it was the best thing ever.
it
Now we're in 2017,
And it's
It's even better.
and it's even better.
It is.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think as far as racing goes in our area, it's doing what we're trying to get it to do. It's coming back stronger. It's coming back better. Car counts are getting back there. We're starting to see more fans in the stands, and I'm hoping, especially after last year. Last year was pretty encouraging for the grandstands at all tracks here in the Northwest. And
With the more the fans, there's more money for the speedways, and there's more of a larger purse then, right? Or
I think it is. Isn't it predicated on that?
Not necessarily.
Versus ours.
Okay.
Not necessarily. Some races are predicated on car count, like the 5,000 to win late model race was predicated that they had to have at least 24 cars to get the $5,000 payout. Now they had that.
So that's just based off of entry fees, not
Correct.
grandstands.
Not grandstand.
Okay.
But if you
Okay.
think about it, though, you put more fans in the stands, that's going to give back more money to the speedway to make improvements to
Right.
make their facility better. It's also
Yeah.
it's also going to create more funds for marketing to build the sport up more.
Well, it also gives you the possibility of having more fans build cars and become racers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or we have what happens at the Iron Giant, and you've got that many more fans that can go into a bucket and say, give this to the winner.
Yeah.
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 with the new rules now for this year for the engine package, the motor package, and then the Hoosiers tires, will that help
Spoilers.
help somebody lift them up as far as being less
I get-
expensive?
I don't know. Here, I'll give my feedback on what I've heard from other people. As far as the late models go, one class of cars with 3 different sets of rules, 604 crate engine gets a 12-inch spoiler, 525 crate engine gets a 10-inch spoiler, open motors get an 8-inch spoiler. So far, I haven't heard a lot of
Chit chat.
well, I just haven't heard a lot of guys are excited about that. A lot of guys are kind of like, just make a set of
Or
rules and
against it.
everybody runs. Yeah, it doesn't
Right.
seem like a lot of guys are all for that and that they're all in on it. The biggest thing I think you hit on too was the tire rule. I haven't heard anybody that's happy about why do we have to run the big block tires and can't groove. We just had a conversation with a driver. We don't have to say who that is earlier today. That just thought nobody runs those tires. Why do we have to run them? Why do we have? What's the deal with that? It doesn't make sense. A lot of guys are giving us, that's the feedback that we're getting. I don't think it's going to be a positive or a negative really as far as the racers go. As far as the racing goes.
He was
Who-
asking about the cost to get into it, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
It is going
Is
to
it-
save money. In reality, and let's take the competition aspect away from it. You can go out and buy a 604 GM crate engine with all the bells and whistles to make it go fast, low drag serpentine system for 10 grand. Versus you can go build some of these guys have late model motors, all
30, 40
aluminum,
grand.
that are
50.
50,
Wow.
60, $70,000 that are cranking out 800, 900 horse easily. But at the same time, so you're going to have that. So is the spoiler going to even it up? It's a possibility. It's going to help with downforce when you're lacking horsepower. But when you get to the tires, that's going to equal everything out because you burn off a set of D55s in 2 races at Willamette Speedway
Right,
when it's
right.
dry and slick, which is what we have around here. You're going to burn those tires off at what, 135 a piece, 155, somewhere in that ballpark. And let's say you go race out of town. So you go
That was
travel
another
to
important
the big
conversation,
series,
right.
Lucas Oil's race, or you go down to Bakersfield for the Budweiser Nationals. they can run the small box. You're going to groove your tires up because
Which are now no longer good at the track you're
which are
at.
no longer good. So at that point, are you saving money?
No.
No, it's all a wash in all reality. If you go with a 604 or a 525 package for an engine, with the tire rule the way it is, it's a wash.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think it's I wouldn't call it a good thing. I mean, I'd call it a thing, but you look at the Talladega Ice Bowl this year, and a 525 with an 8-inch spoiler won it against open motors. I mean, giving these guys a spoiler advantage because they got a smaller engine, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't think it's going to change the racing so drastic that a guy with a 604 and a 12-inch is now going to
And
be
we're
the
just-
guy you got to beat.
And we're just speculating right now too.
Well, I mean,
we got to
I mean-
wait and see as season progresses.
And maybe
on
it
that. That's
does,
all we
maybe it
can do
does,
right
but
now.
from what I've seen, I don't think you're gonna take a guy with a 604,
yeah.
give him 4 inches or more spoiler, and he's gonna go out and all of a sudden he's the fastest car on the track. When you got a guy that's got an 8-inch spoiler and, I mean, Rob Maya, how do you? It's not gonna.
How
It's
do you
not
beat
gonna.
that
Yeah,
guy?
right. It's not gonna equal it out like
No.
all of a sudden. Oh, that guy's got 4 inches more spoiler, but he's got
No.
400 horse less.
You can't mechanically and through engineering controls dictate a driver's ability. And I think
No.
that's the hardest thing for people to comprehend, is that if you throw an engineering control, such as a spoiler or motor package rule or a tire rule, is not going to
No.
even it up against someone who's been racing for 20 plus years, has been racing against national and professional athletes in our sport, it's not going to even it up. There still has to be someone behind the wheel controlling the machine to make it do what
Right.
it needs to do.
Now, you want to talk about evening the sport up? I mean, really, if you want to talk about making it equal for everybody, where you got to worry about being beat by a driver, focus on the shocks.
There's
Because a guy with a 604 crate engine isn't going to go out and buy a $7,000 set of shocks, where a guy with an open motor obviously can afford to do it. Shocks are what makes the biggest difference on the cars right now. In our sport today, it's shocks. It's not horsepower. It's not engines. It's not spoilers. It's not deck height. It's the shocks that has changed our game so drastic in the last 8 years.
the technology behind shocks. I mean, you start talking $6,000-$7,000. I would sit there and say $6,000-$7,000 of shocks on a late model package. That's going to be your entry level package. When you start talking to some of these
That's what
guys
I'm
that
saying, right.
have an open motor package that are out there buying these $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 open motors, they're going to be running a $20,000 shock program.
And that's easy to do in today's game.
It
but now
is.
you get a guy that if he's going to go run late models, all he can afford is a 604.